Right, very quickly, Dr. Ben is a specialist in strategic supply chain management design, implementation, and operational performance for both public and private sectors. He has sound knowledge and practical experience in Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. He holds PhD in CSR and MSc graduate in supply chain management. So there are many more accolades with him. He has published many papers in international journals, presented number of conference proceedings, and his research interest in the area of supply chain risk management. I'm pleased to invite Dr. Ben. The stage is yours. So about 15 minutes or so, then we can have more Q&A. Thank you. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, it's actually a tall order to have to present after such great presentations from esteemed previous presenters. So it's a challenge for me, but I'll try to make the most out of this time that has been given me. Firstly, let me just acknowledge, and I just want to sort of congratulate the organizers of this conference for coming up with such a great event where some great presentations and exchanges have actually ensured. And I want to thank you also for giving me an opportunity to come and make a presentation today. My topic of the presentation is going to be CSR, or corporate social responsibilities. The key drivers, influences, and initiatives. I've heard from the presentations yesterday, they were very exciting and interesting. At some point, I felt like I was out of place because very little reference was made to issues to do with corporate social responsibilities. But there was some presentation that came from Dr. Fedish, who highlighted what are the key performance areas for supply chain operations. It was interesting that he also mentioned issues to do with sustainability. So today, I'm actually going to make an attempt to try and highlight the importance of corporate social responsibilities in response to macro environmental challenges and stakeholder expectations. So the format of my presentation is basically going to be the introduction that I'm just going to expand, a literature review, methodology findings, and then the impact of the research results and how practicable they are. And then we conclude. Corporate social responsibility has appeared or appears now to be a buzzword within business and supply chain operations. I think you'll agree with me that people can talk freely or say, can even relate to operations or organizations and evaluate that they may not be corporate social responsive in some respects. So CSR, or corporate social responsibility, appears to be an umbrella term that associates business relationships with society. Of course, there are other labels that have been used today in relation to corporate social responsibility. For example, social responsiveness, okay, social performance, or even corporate citizenship. But more relevant to the theme of this conference, corporate sustainability. If we look at the debate for CSR, we can actually see that it originated in the Northern Hemisphere, far back 1953, when a bold statement was made by Dr. Bowen, who suggested that businesses have got an obligation outside their mandate to maximize profit. So there are obligations that the businesses have got to conform to in relation to societal values. The debate went further to then define what exactly is corporate social responsibility, but more to even develop tools, frameworks that can be used to analyze or assess CSR within the academic world. Today, we can safely say that CSR is now a boardroom agenda or item on the boardroom agenda. So we can actually see CSR being embedded within corporate strategy in global supply chain operations. Of course, there is still some arguments that the role of businesses is just to maximize profits or enhance shareholder value. But it's now agreed that it makes sense to comply with CSR demands. So we can actually see organizations that are using CSR as a way to mitigate against risks across supply chain operations. There are also attempts to use CSR to even manage reputational damage that may occur across the pipeline. There are some interest groups, some pressure groups out there that have used their power to bring litigation or action against some big corporate organizations. So these organizations have found that CSR initiatives can actually reduce litigation against them. So we are actually saying then that we see today organizations are so keen to come up with initiatives on CSR. Now, the challenge that we have got, especially us in supply chain operations, our supply chains extend beyond country boundaries. So the question then is, what exactly is the nature of CSR? What is CSR? What are the tenets or the grain of CSR? We present here that CSR is actually a function or is determined by institutional environment. The institutional factors that are prevailing at a time are likely to impact and influence the nature or the context of CSR initiatives. But also, CSR is actually a response to stakeholder demand. So, the institutional environment that can either be formal or formalized in relation to regulations, rules, policies, are going to influence the uptake or the level of organizational CSR. Then there's the stakeholder issue. Organizations have got to respond to a variety of stakeholders, not only the shareholder, but other societal stakeholders. So at the end of the day, we can then say CSR is actually going to be very much geographical. And we've got a challenge as supply chain operators or supply chain managers. Which context of CSR is going to be applied across that pipeline? We're going to attempt then at the end of the day to try and present a framework that can be used by organizations to manage or to decide on what are the key CSR issues that we should implement. Okay, I've just talked about the institutional environment and then the challenge of stakeholder view, assuming we are looking at the stakeholder theory to apply it to CSR. There are a variety of demands, or there is a variety of demands that we may find from various stakeholders of an organization. Some of them are actually conflicting and in some cases very contradictory. So how can an organization then choose which demand to respond to, especially in that environment? Obviously, the statement that's bold here is that it is the stakeholders going to evaluate CSR initiatives. The stakeholders have got that role to evaluate whether the organization is actually responsive or not. So, I'm going to make this statement that the nature of CSR is dependent on the institutional environment, which is the macro environment, or the institutional setting where the organization is actually operating, but also at the same time, the stakeholders are going to evaluate our CSR initiatives. So, if we can use a conceptual model, we would say the institutional environment for CSR comprises the formal and informal settings. By formal, I'm talking about the regulations, the policies, the standards within the industry relating to CSR. Informal relates to issues to do with cultural norms, education and training, awareness within the society or within the environment, and then the stakeholder perceptions. That gives us the context. That gives us the context of CSR, which then would influence how organizations are going to respond to CSR expectations. So, we've gone into conducting some research just to find out whether CSR can actually be exported or imported from different countries. So what we've done is we've done an analysis, a comparative analysis between two countries, that is the UK and South Africa, mainly because these two countries go that trade relationship and their supply chains that cross into each of the countries. So in terms of developing our data collection, we have come up with 9 key categories for institutional settings, just to see whether these institutional settings have influenced organizational responses. Okay, and then when we came with the stakeholders, we've done a stakeholder mapping just to see whether there are any common stakeholders across the supply chain. And then, okay, that's fine. And then the CSR issues, obviously there is a long list of CSR issues, but which CSR issues have been are common within the pipeline? And then the 6 dimensions of the motivations, the motivation for CSR within the organizations as presented in the evidence or the data that we collected. I can safely say, from our data analysis, the results would reveal that a conducive institutional environment is essential for effective CSR responses. It's important that the institutional environment itself provides either mandatory, okay, or mandating that organization must behave in this way, or actually facilitating, which is providing the incentives for CSR. And we have also noticed that governments or government departments, they played a pivotal or an important role as far as organizational CSR compliance was concerned. And then sample organizations have demonstrated that they've got a list of common stakeholders. About 7 common stakeholders were identified by some of these organizations, which means it's possible to have the same stakeholders in South Africa as important for organizations in the UK. Some organizations appear to have more stakeholders that are listed than others, but at the end of the day, we've got the common stakeholders. There are also some institutional drivers that are common. For example, we talked about the mandatory, we talk about facilitation as well. So we can also conclude that there is a tendency towards community-related CSR, that is charity actions, okay, and some attempts to support the community and society. But also, the environment has become very important, environment and sustainability. So these are the key findings that came from the research. I think it's important to note some of the data that we have used to come up with those results. At the end of the day, we are proposing that an organization can only be effective in CSR compliance if it understands the institutional environment, if it's going to map the stakeholders and identify the key stakeholders and the key issues pertaining to those expectations from the stakeholders. And then the organization can actually come up with responsive strategies to drive their CSR initiatives. So I want to believe that we have presented just a framework for organizations to analyze the context of their CSR requirements and also to come up with an appropriate response as far as CSR is concerned from a stakeholder perspective. Thank you very much for listening. I see.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you so much for keeping to time as well. We talked about CSR, stakeholder engagement, and beautifully presented the analysis done between South Africa and the UK. Now let us now invite the second speaker.
Good morning, and once again welcome you all to Industry Talk 5 and 6. I think Industry Talk has become one of the most distinguishing features of this conference. So now we are inviting Mr. Niaz Rahim, Group Managing Director, Rahim Afroz Bangladesh Limited. He, one of the country's most respected business conglomerates, Rahim Afroz, founded by his father Abdul Rahim in 1954. As a key member of the second generation leading the family enterprise, Mr. Niaz Rahim has been instrumental in driving Rahim Afroz's transformation, expanding its footprint from the traditional trading into diversified sectors such as automotive, aftermarket, power and energy solutions, solar technology, modern retailing through the pioneering brand Agora. He is widely respected for his unwavering commitment to integrity and values in business, often reaffirming that Rahim Afroz will never compromise on honesty for the sake of profit, a principle that continues to shape the group's legacy and the leadership. Academically, Mr. Niaz Rahim completed his graduation in law at the University of Dhaka and later earned an MBA from Concordia University in Canada. In addition to his business leadership, he has been actively involved in various professional and social organizations. He has served as a general body member of FBCCI, representing countries' accumulator and battery industry as well as supermarket industry. He is also the founding chairman of the Center for Zakat Management. He had also served as an independent board member of Bangladesh Development Bank, Agrani Bank, Asia Pacific General Insurance Company Limited. Moreover, Mr. Niaz Rahim is one of the founding trustees of Education, Science, Technology and Cultural Development Trust, which has established Independent University Bangladesh and Chittagong Independent University. So it is our honor to invite Mr. Niaz Rahim in this industry talk.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guests. Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, sir. Assalamu alaikum again. Good morning. distinguished guests, honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend again my gratitude to IUB for organizing this remarkable event focused on academia industry collaboration, bringing together two worlds that are deeply interconnected. This initiative today the bridge between academia and industry is more critical than ever. The rapid pace of technological advancement, the urgency for sustainable innovation, and the evolving demands for the global economy all call for a stronger and more strategic partnership between knowledge creation and its practical application. Okay. So, academia contribution comes through ideas, research, talent development, while industry provides platform, resources, and real-world challenges that test and refines these ideas. In an increasingly complex global market, the demand for the skilled human capital has grown substantially, emphasizing the need for a robust and enduring collaboration between academic institutions and its industries. Such collaboration will yield mutual benefits, enhancing innovation, productivity, and employability, thereby accelerating national economic growth and development. Across the world, we have seen powerful examples of successful academic industry partnership driving progress. The Industrial Revolution in the West were fueled by the close collaboration between scholars and entrepreneurs, translating research into real-world innovations. In the 21st century, the advancement in artificial intelligence, autonomous self-driving vehicles, electric mobility, renewable and low-carbon energy technologies all stand as outcomes of the vital synergy between academia and industry. Academia produces theoretical modules and simulation, while industry applies those insights in the real-world systems, enabling scalable and efficient market solutions. In our context, universities can focus both on capability and capacity building initiatives, such as product re-engineering for reuse, recyclability, to reduce waste, optimize cost, and make our products and services globally competitive. Students must also be encouraged to think critically and creatively to focus on implementable, result-oriented solutions. One of the challenges we face in the shortage of deep expertise, often caused by frequent job changes, motivated by short-term financial gains. The trend undermines the development of expertise for long-term professional mastery. The evolving concept of environmental, social, and governance, ESG, in industry underscores the need for human capital sustainability, skill development, digital transformation, and operational efficiency. Here too, academia-industry collaboration is essential. Universities need to establish structured in mentorship and apprenticeship programs, equipping students with practical exposure and technical skills in commercialization. Such initiatives can support startups and help transform university dropouts into valuable contributors to the economy. Furthermore, it is critical to play advocacy role for strengthening patent and intellectual property regulations to protect R&D investments in area where countries like China and others in the developed world have excelled. It is high time that Bangladesh aligns with the global roadmap for industrialization and sustainable development. While there are examples of academy-industry collaboration in our country, the depth and understanding of their full potential remains limited. Strengthening these partnerships can unlock significant opportunities for innovation, inclusion, and long-term growth. In this context, I can say Rahim Afroz, in collaboration with BUET, was among the earliest to introduce solar energy solutions in Bangladesh. At the time when renewable energy was still in its infancy, this initiative brought sustainable light and power to off-grid rural communities. Bangladesh is the world's largest home lighting system user in the world. The pioneering effort not only advanced national energy inclusion, but also laid the groundwork for the country's emerging green energy ecosystem. Building on this spirit of innovation and partnership, AIUB and Rahim Afroz jointly launched the Agribusiness MBA program to promote agricultural entrepreneurship. This initiative, if it had expanded, could have played a pivotal role in strengthening agriculture, the backbone of our economy, while generating employment opportunities for fostering sectoral diversification. This collaboration reflected Rahim Afroz's transformative contribution to modernizing Bangladesh's retail landscape through the launch of Agora, the first organized food retail chain. The initiative introduced new benchmarks in consumer experience, supply chain efficiency, the product quality assurance, inspiring a generation of entrepreneurs to develop structured, transparent, and customer-focused retail enterprises. In parallel, Southeast University is now undertaking an important initiative to conduct an independent survey of the programs implemented by the Center for Zakat Management. The research-driven collaboration aims to encourage philanthropy among the students through digital platforms and promote development of social enterprises. This decision was inspired by the measurable socio-economic impact of CZM intervention in improving the lives of underprivileged communities. Through this effort, Southeast University seeks to nurture a culture of evidence-based social responsibility, innovation, and ethical leadership values that align closely with Bangladesh's broader development aspirations. Looking ahead, another critical area demanding attention is family business succession and transition planning. As most enterprises in Bangladesh are first-generation businesses, ensuring a smooth general transition requires structured guidance and institutional support. Establishing family businesses chairs at the university has therefore become essential. As the founding generation prepares to pass leadership responsibility to the next generation. Collectively, these examples illustrates how visionary industrial leadership, reinforced by strong academic collaboration, can shape markets, drive social progress, and accelerate sustainable national development. In particular, long-term human capital development depends on the continuous learning and professional growth through robust academia-industry linkages. Such partnership bridges the gap between theory and practice, stimulates innovation, entrepreneurship, and advanced research in technological excellence. Academia-industry partnership can also contribute to policy advocacy, knowledge exchange, acting as national think tanks to guide innovation and address socio-economic challenges. University can establish business incubators and accelerators and collaborate with industries to assess data and analytics platforms. These efforts will collectively enhance the quality and relevance of higher education, strengthen innovation capacity, promote technology adoption, increase employability, and ultimately improve national competitiveness in the global economy. Let us work together to build a future where students, researchers, industries grow hand in hand, creating value for society, economy, and the nation. May Allah have mercy on us and guide us and bless us all in all our endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Niaz Rahim, for your so informative and wonderful presentation about the need for more industry academia collaboration in Bangladeshi context. So now the floor is open for question and answer sessions. So we will be accepting only 2 questions.
Okay, sir. Hello, good
Yes,
morning.
please.
Shall I start? Yeah.
Just tell us your name and question addressed to which speaker.
My name is Rafin Rahan. Currently, I'm studying at Independent University, Bangladesh under marketing as the major. So I have a question to Nihat, sir. So, sir, the current market scenario, like students, let's say graduates are graduating, right? And Rohim Afroz is doing amazing in their line of field. Let's say you're bringing innovations, you're collaborating with universities to make green efficiency, let's say solar energy that you mentioned. So my question to you would be that there is a huge bridge of gap between the current unemployment rate in Bangladesh, right? Than ever, like let's say take decades record into account that huge amount of undergrad graduates are still being unemployed. Why is that? Maybe is there any solution? Maybe as you have mentioned that you have also collaborated with BUET to bring let's say solar energy into reality, right, in the rural areas. So is there something that could be done so that the undergrad students that are done with their graduations could get into the workforce straightforward, or maybe what the industry is expecting from them? As far as the current scenario, there is a huge gap. So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you were here yesterday, you would have understood that gap between the academic and the industry they were discussing yesterday day long. I will say there is a difference. What we do is we encourage internships, and we bring them in on board, and we try to acclimatize them and brief them what is our requirement. And we don't restrict entry. And people who melt within our system, who show eagerness to understand, we gradually absorb them. So that is how we bridge our gap. The important part is there is a difference. That is why I said this sort of gathering of academia industry collaboration is very, very important to understand what we are looking for and what the academicians are producing. So that gap must be closed, and the only way to close is through dialogue, interaction, and the continuous. As for your question for employability, as I said, we encourage internship, and then we try to glue them into our system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nia. Thank you so much for the response. Maybe one more question. Yeah, yes, sir. Can someone get him the microphone, please? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. A wonderful presentation to both of you, sir. I have one question to Niaz Rahim sir and one question to Professor Ben. To Niaz Rahim sir, that as I spent last 20 years in the corporate, so I worked as a supply chain director in many companies. You know, to the students, I would like to tell you that Rohim Afroz is considered in Bangladesh one of the most respected companies. And you know, whenever 20 years back, whenever we were a student, after British American Tobacco or Unilever, it was our dream. If someone would consider a local company, it is considered a local multinational company. So my question to you, how that is possible? Because it's not easy in terms of the salary, in terms of the environment, JD, job progression. It is an amazing, probably it is an example for Bangladesh. We feel pride. I am telling because I was a student at point of time. I was in the corporate, so we know what Rahim Afroz is. So what is the secret behind this? So I don't want to leave the opportunity to ask you this question. The first question to you, sir.
Thank you. Again, I think the most foremost is the setting of the vision from the top, what we want to be. Like if you come across our aspiration, we say that we want to be the most trusted organization, practicing ethical business practices, and adding value to the stakeholders. And if you see all our businesses, all our activities does reflect that. And it goes through down line. We do not compromise on ethics. We do not, whatever we say, we do not compromise on quality and services that we deliver. When we tell our customers, you don't buy our products, you are actually buying the company. But the moment you buy the product, our quality and service team are right behind you all the time. So that is a commitment. If you see from across the country, we have a network of dealers across the country. You will, inshallah, you will find them speaking the same language with the same commitment right across. So it's not only confined to our company. We even with our stakeholders, people who are associated with our businesses, they must follow that. It's mandatory. If somebody is not aligned with our values, we just move away from them.
Thank you, sir. Maybe very quick, short question to Dr. Ben.
My second question to Professor Dr. Ben. It's a wonderful presentation, and you just spoke about corporate social responsibility. As you know, that Bangladesh is the second largest exporter in the ready-made garments, and corporate social responsibility is very, very mandatory to comply every single garments. So how can we really apply this model and fit in the Bangladeshi context? And as you have shown a very, very complex and very, very pertinent model. So what is the validity, if you can slightly highlight a little bit? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that question, Dr. Fedish. Definitely, you've actually observed the position of Bangladesh within the supply chain in the fashion industry. And there are some expectations from these stakeholders, like I've just alluded to earlier on. It is important that the local industry recognizes that the marketplace demands, a certain standard of performance in terms of the issues that my fellow presenter just alluded to, issues to do with ethics, issues to do with working conditions within the environment. There's been some recorded malpractices within the region that have actually damaged the reputation of some of these high street shops in Europe and in America. So it is important. The template that I provided, or the framework that I've just provided, is actually an attempt to ensure that we respond adequately to CSR expectations. Initially, we have said we must understand the institutional setting within which our supply chains are actually operating. We must also understand the expectations of the stakeholders. And those key stakeholders, if you map your stakeholders, you should be able to then understand what are the expectations. And these stakeholders include suppliers, customers, government, even those that are also probably not primary to us, the secondary stakeholders. We may not have direct contact with them, but you know what? These indirect stakeholders, they are the most damaging stakeholders as far as reputation and brand is concerned, because we don't have that direct contact. We don't have a contract with them, but they use the media, they use pressure groups to exert, that kind of image on the marketplace. So it's important that all stakeholders are actually identified and we understand the expectations and we manage them. So I'm sure this template should be able to give organizations an opportunity to design and develop those CSR strategies that are relevant, not just window shopping, but relevant CSR strategy that are going to mitigate against some of these issues that we just alluded to. I hope I answered you. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. With that, we come to the end of the session. Again, big round of applause to our both presenters for the excellent session, and let us hand over to the master of ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our distinguished speakers and session chairs for an enlightening and thought-provoking session. The insights shared today have certainly given us much to reflect upon and carry forward. Now, without further ado, I would like to request the Honorary General Chair of ICE BTM 2025, Professor Dr. Raisul Awal Mahmood, and the General Chair, Professor Dr. Mamun Habib Sir, to come on stage and present the memento to the dignitaries. Yes. I'm requesting Professor Dr. Raisul Awal Mahmood, Sir, to present the memento to our speakers, Dr. Ben and Mr. Niaz Rahim. I would also like to request Professor Dr. Mamun Habib Sir to present the certificates, a token of appreciation to our session chairs. Respected guests, dear participants, now we will start our parallel sessions. Now before we move on to our parallel sessions, I have a very important announcement. I would like to remind everyone about the room allocations for these sessions. Now this is ballroom. Here we will have room A, B, and E right here in this ballroom. The bronze room is on level 4 and it will be for room number C. The silver room is on level 2. It will be the room number D. And the gold one will be at level 1. It will be a poster presentation. I hope